Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live event. Today, we'll be talking about how to make strategic AI work for businesses of all sizes. And to help us navigate AI with success and share with us some success cases and his experience and also his methodology, we have Lauren Jenkins, co founder of LBL. And Lauren's been helping companies to grow for many years now. And I'm going to pass it over to him. Lauren, please say hello to everyone and introduce yourself a little bit better than I did because I don't think I made enough justice.
Carlos, thank you. You're too kind. And hello, everybody, and thank you for taking your time. It's a lofty objective to be sharing a lot of knowledge around AI when I think that it's quite a confused market and confusing messages coming from all angles. If there's one thing you can take away from what we share today, then we've met our objective. And fundamentally, because we see so much confusion, so many conflicting stories, and also, can I say, some really not very good stories with maybe the big egg and consultancies charging a lot of money for maybe not a lot of value. It actually puts a dampener on what we can all achieve out of what strategic AI can bring. And if I can just emphasize what we mean by strategic AI, it's fundamentally about getting business value from it. So what we'd like to cover today is a little bit about our own journey of exploration into helping clients navigate getting value from AI. We'll also share some practical insights based around our processes, and our fundamental is about how to unlock value and get the return on investment from anything to do with AI, rather than it being tactical, it being strategic and business value. So as regards why we're looking to share this, well, we find that there is a big disparity between the hype and the interest and also the value. And I was in Dublin recently, and a gentleman from PwC shared this stat that you can see on your screen now. 90% of C-suite that they surveyed are investing in some type of AI, and that very big subject, very deep subject, but only 6% are getting value from it. And fundamentally, the reality is that AI is here to stay. Yes, there may be a correction in the share prices of the big tech companies, but it's here to stay, as we probably all well know. The reality is we've got to be doing something to add value to our business. And if we don't, then yes, maybe the competition will be. So we've got that juxtaposition of balancing, doing some great stuff pragmatically, and also not missing out. So the why for us to share this is we've learned a lot over the last few years, and we'd like to impart some of that with you today. So the market is confused. It's noisy. It's full of organizations that are talking about, quite interestingly, being AI centric that haven't been before. We've always been around AI. There's over 6,000 businesses out there sharing this. There's several hundred consultancies. And as you probably well know, there are thousands of apps or tools that are popping up every day. And fundamentally, the way that I see it is they're like fireflies. They launch, they say a good thing, they might not be proven or bring value, and then the client has actually invested, and where are they left? So what we're looking to do today is to focus on strategic AI for business growth. So the confused market is something we try and demystify and keep it very simple. And if I can just move on, there we go. So the sailing analogy. So the sailing analogy is something that's sort of close to my heart because I don't sail on super tankers with cargo. But if you can just imagine that a cargo ship is setting its course and there aren't many plans, there aren't many charts, there isn't a destination that's been set, or maybe there is. And along the way, there are variances in the weather and the tides and everything else. But if you don't take time to determine where you want to be getting to and why you want to be getting there at the start of your sailing journey, whether it be a lovely yacht or a super tanker with cargo, then you're potentially going to end up in South Africa instead of South America. And likewise with the AI journey for business value, if you don't determine why you're doing it, how you're doing it, who you're doing it with, and also where you want to get and plotting your course, then it's potentially going to end up in not a good destination. So that sailing analogy is something we like to share just to sort of make it come alive a little bit there. And if we're just moving on from that analogy to our approach, well, fundamentally, we work for and with our clients as part of the team. We do that because we're disconnected from tools and technology per se, because we like to work with the client to understand them. We like to understand the challenges. And what we're looking to do really is to engender trust through our own transparency. And hopefully that comes across today. And this can be done not only for us helping our clients and partners, but this can be done with your own organization. Fundamentally, we're all in this together, and we have to take a balanced perspective of the noise, the hype, the tech, and also what's real in your business today, and also how are we going to help the individuals and teams within our organizations to adopt what we're doing. So we have to bring our team along with us, and adoption to make these investments work is key to this. So who are we? Okay, so we started out of the UK government's Help to Grow scheme, where we'd be looking at organizations, the top team, what's working, what's not working, and fundamentally, where are you and where do you want to get to? And then out of that came the opportunity to help organizations to digitize from the inside out and to use the latest technologies to augment, to support the present business activities that the companies are doing. Our focus is on getting return on investment from any dollars spent around this market. And the examples that we'll be sharing with you will be around business performance, but and sales and marketing and food production. But as you see from the list of vertical markets, we've got stories and case studies around all these domains, and we can expand on them at any time if you want to individually as we go forward. So a cup of tea, that'll be nice, or a coffee. So this is something we like to do with our teams, is to ask this very simple question. And you can do this for yourself with your teams as well. When you want to try and get onto the same page, get on the same page. So fundamentally, here's the question for you. Either on your pad or your device that you're on at the moment. The question is, when you wake up in the morning and go to the kitchen to make your first cup of tea or coffee, how many steps do you take? What stages do you go through? What do you actually have to get to allow you to make that cup of tea? Now, no answer to this question is wrong, and I'm going to come back to it. But just for a moment, have a little think about how many steps or stages you would take in the morning to do that. And we'll come back to that in a minute. So our process. So we've taken a lot of time to do what I call real-time research and development. And over time, we had 7 stages to what we're doing. And it was taking too long. People were becoming disenchanted. They were going off in different tangents. So we've actually truncated that down into fundamentally these 5 steps that you can adopt internally yourself, irrespective of technology, irrespective of AI, bringing it back down to a discovery call between yourselves, your partners. What is it we're looking to achieve, and why are we looking to achieve it? And then from there, what we do is we go to the next stage, which is this strategic workshop, which is inviting different stakeholders, sales, marketing, accounts, delivery, customer success, the C-suite, and this is where we start to blue sky and draw out the challenges of the business. So what's working, what's not working, what department, what division has got the most challenges, and can we shortlist 2 or 3 of those and then focus down into one business use case. And this is where it starts to get really interesting, because if you have different parties from different departments being asked the same question around this use case, but getting different answers, then there might be some work needed internally before anything's talked about regarding technology. And then what we look to do from here is we go on to the providing an innovation business case. You note that we're saying innovation and not AI there, because we're sort of broadening this, but the business case is really important. There's lots of organizations that are taking different approaches to get value from AI. It could be going deep into the tech, it could be going deep into process, or a combination of them. But fundamentally, if there isn't a business case to do something, then why do it in the first place? Because everybody else is? That's going to end up not being a good outcome potentially. But from the business case scenario, we then provide an engagement plan, if that's what we all want to be doing. And the engagement plan will clearly set out, this is the investigation, these are the investigations, these are the areas we discussed, these are the options we've looked to provide. And then from there, and the business case, this is the engagement plan. If so chosen to go forward, we can work to. And then from there, the 5th step is the working on, the delivery of, and then the output versus what we have set out collectively, collaboratively to achieve over the time that we're working on a project, mini project together. So this process, we're very confident that works, and we're very pleased that the feedback we get from our teams and our colleagues is that it makes it very clear, very pragmatic, and it takes away the voodoo, and it takes away the need to be an expert around AI. So let's get on to some real examples. And the real case examples we'll be sharing, and this is a little image of myself, I think. Oh, look, my hands are like that. So we're going to be sharing some fundamentals around capturing business process before doing anything with AI with one client. We're then going to be going on to share a proof of concept agent for another organization. We'll then be sharing a food production company in full production using big data and AI analysis to help its throughput of product and looking for anomalies. And then the last thing we'll be sharing and showing is a product that's come out of our own workings and our own want to streamline our own processes. So coming back to the first one is a capturing of process. So this is for a sales and marketing organization. This is an onboarding process. And if we go back to that cup of tea analogy, and I don't know what number of steps or stages you had, but when we asked this company with the different stakeholders, how many steps and stages do you go through to onboard and then hand off to the other departments? And I've got to tell you, we had answers ranging from 7, 9, 12, 19. And if we could just go back to that one slide there, what we'll see is there's actually over 50 steps in their onboarding process. And the audience, the teams involved, they started looking at each other and then pondering, that's why we're not connecting, that's why it's not working, and that's why it's taking far too long. So the cup of tea analogy, that simple analogy, when you extrapolate it out and look at the business and a use case, onboarding in this instance, getting the stages, getting the steps right, not for building out, but for getting the team working to the same acknowledgement of what's going on today, is very, very helpful. And even at this stage, if you weren't to go further, doing this piece of work is extremely helpful. But moving on to the next example, because we're looking to be quick with our time and save your time. This organization we're going to show a proof of concept of, and I'm going to talk over as it actually rolls out here. Synthesis is a performance consultancy. They come out of motorsport, and they're now applying those fine increments of success into business and helping teams get the best performance. And this proof of concept is taken from their own approach to finding gaps and gap analysis in performance, teams, individuals. And once the gaps can be determined, they can be analyzed, and then they can be supported to be optimized. And what you're seeing here is a conversation, a two-way conversation between the user and the POC agent, AI agent in this instance. And what you're getting the output from those conversations is what's on screen. And it's not we're not sharing this for you to look at each of the lines and see all the answers here. But what we're doing is we're taking the processes, the capabilities, and the approach of this organization, and we're putting it into an environment that can help individuals work at their own pace to get the answers to determine gaps within their own organization. There's just another application of this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand back to Carlos, because the next example is something he's been involved with for many years. And I'll let you share what's going on here, Carlos.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lauren. So let me talk a little bit about this specific project. So we're looking at predictive.
Okay, so I'm not hearing Carlos here, so I'm going to take this over. And this is a food production company.
Yeah, Lauren, I'm here. We just had a little glitch, but yes, I think everyone else can hear me. So what we're looking at is basically a project that uses computer vision, predictive and advanced analytics to monitor the conveyor belt on a food processing plant. So basically, it's trying to identify anomalies, and every time that he sees an anomaly, he marks it in red, and he moves it into a different position on a conveyor belt. So this is just, I think, in my opinion, a great way of showing the power of AI, because like these kind of repetitive tasks for us humans can be almost painful to do, like it's spending so much time in front of a conveyor belt trying to identify an anomaly. And doing that for 8 hours a day, sometimes even longer, can be really hard. This way, we increase the production line capacity, and we also increase people's productivity, because we then move people to execute tasks that require more human capacities, like thinking, behaving, and understanding nuances on whatever they're seeing. So, and also allows people to start monitoring AI and following to even better processes and optimization. So back to you again, Lauren, so you can go to the next slide of the presentation.
Thanks, Carlos. If you just put up the next slide, please, because it would just paint the scene of what we major on. And I don't know whether you'll be able to see this book, but this book is it's old school, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And when I was first given this by an MD, a CEO of a company I was working with, I didn't really understand it, even though it's quite thin and it takes about an hour to read. I probably wasn't in the right mindset. The second time I was given it about 15 years ago, I read it, and it sort of the light bulb moment went on. And I think this actually plays to where a lot of AI related projects are not getting the value, and that is because we're living in an era of rapid change, and the whole emphasis of this book is about different characteristics and different characters and how they deal with change. And if we're talking about people being involved and being supported by AI to do the heavy lifting, if you will. It's a fundamental that we actually play to. And that next slide that we're putting up is all around business change. It's around resilience in the workplace. It's around mental toughness when we're being bombarded with all sorts of messages. You know, I want to be doing this and taking advantage of this great stuff that we're talking about. And at the same time, I don't really know how to do it. And I don't want to share that I don't know how to do it. And there are a lot of experts around. But what we share is that we're all either experts or we know nothing. So having that mindset, which is very open and collaborative and transparent to work together, really helps. And the reason we put this slide up, even though some of you might have been thinking that we're going to go deep into AI code, no, we're bringing it right back to the fact that we are working with this environment, the many different flavors of AI, determining what's going to fit for us, how it's going to fit, how it's going to provide sustainable and scalable growth potential. But if we don't bring our people along with us, if we don't support people, then it's not going to be adopted, it's not going to be worked to. And I remember a really great colleague of mine, I won't mention her name, but about 4 or 5 years ago, she said, Lauren, the focus is going to be on the collaborative economy. And I still think that's true today, in so much as if we look at this slide and if we look at the phases of how we can help people, and by the way, we partner with niche experts and we bring them in to help our client projects or our clients, irrespective of the project, we can see that we're looking at fundamental aspects to help individuals feel more comfortable with exploring what these innovation tools, capacities can bring. So the adoption is supported by change management principles and working with individuals from the client side, the partner side, the technology side, to come together to focus on the objective of making sure we work together to get the best out of what we're doing. And then from that, we're going to then go back to Carlos, I think, to share the last of our examples, which I'll hand over to Carlos to actually talk about.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. So basically what I'm going to present to you now is an app that uses AI as a companion to increase productivity, in this case around social media. So let me introduce you the project. Okay. So the video is playing, you probably can't hear anything, but we'll make it available online afterwards as well. So this is Witfi.social, and social media AI companion that helps you create your social media strategy, create a plan of action, build an entire week of content. It just did this, like showing you, just pick a keyword, decide what the topic is going to be about. And then from there, AI does the rest. It just builds the entire week. You just have to click edit, choose which platform you want to send to. It will optimize. It will generate the image for you. You can still edit. You can change whatever you like in a content. And then from there, you just publish or just schedule the post, and you will be ready on your social media. Of course, this is just like showing you some of the main tools that this solution provides, but there's also more, like micro editing of images with AI, competitor intel analysis, so you can monitor your competitors and identify what they're doing better than you are, as well as you can run weekly benchmark analysis to identify what is the ideal content for your business. And on top of that, this app also analyzes social media algorithms behavior. So if let's say, for example, tomorrow Facebook changes its algorithm and it has a massive change, this app here will adapt to that. So always looking for what you provide as content about your company, how to create a really good plan, looking at your competitors, looking at social media channels, and the Witfi is always in understanding the content that you're publishing and try to optimize it further. So for each post that you do schedule or post now, it will actually improve his memory and capacity of generating even better content in the future. So this was a very practical AI solution, and I think it really shows what AI can do for your business. Like, instead of you spending hours on social media management every week, it brings it down to 15 minutes. That's my current time right now. I schedule, I strategize, plan, schedule an entire week in only 15 minutes. Okay, so bringing back to you, Lauren, for like key takeaways and saying goodbye to everyone, because we're very close to the end of our live webinar. So please, I can't hear you on mute, so let me unmute you. Okay.
Am I here now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great stuff. I just wanted to comment on Witfy actually, because something I know of the product, which really I think is fantastic. It's always learning. So the tone of the company sharing its social media, it's always learning and to optimize going forward. And if I can just share with everybody that the work that it does and takes it away from the human element was born out of a process that was, it was a pain. Yeah. So what was being done around the social media took a long time, took a lot of thinking, content creation, and everything else. So hey, why don't we just build something, right? So out of that process pain, and there's a little tip there. Is there a process pain in your business, and can we do it better? And is there something that we can do ourselves or with a tool that will be around to help us into the future? So I'm loving Witfy. So thanks for sharing that, Carlos. Hopefully there's a few nuggets that are coming out from what we're sharing in this very short webinar. And the key takeaways that we'd like to sort of just highlight, just going back there to help me really to prompt me from that slide, which we go back to in a second here, is the people first approach. Thanks, Carlos. The people first approach is something that really works. And I physically see, we visibly see people's shoulders drop, relax, when we take the onus away from deep tech, big tech, AI, and we bring it back down to, what are you doing today that is either a blockage or a pain in the business or an untapped opportunity? And we work to process optimization and product development, if you will. Strategy and a strategic approach to getting business value out of what you're doing with AI is absolutely key. Of course, we can all play with ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, and Copilot, etc. But when you want to go to the heart of the business, and when you want to get value from this fantastic opportunity we got, old school practices of understanding what you're doing, how you're doing it, how we can actually improve it, and how we can work as a team together before we go forward and building out or scoping out a POC is great to be doing. And regarding the early correction, if you recall the sailing analogy, if we can actually set our course but be agile in knowing that there's going to be a cyclone coming from that side and a mistral coming from that side, then we can actually adapt with agile thinking. And I think from a supporting yourselves going forward, we've tried to share transparently here about our experiences, the approach we take, some real life examples, and we welcome any and all of you to reach out to either have a strategic AI call and or join one of our clinics that we do regularly in a group session to be more specific and go deeper into maybe something that you're challenged with at the moment. So if I can just thanks very much, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lauren, for sharing. And I'm showing the QR code here, so if anyone wants to know a little bit more about Lionheart Business, please scan that QR code. You also can send on a chat your messages. I'll be having a look at it, and we'll be able to reply to them all if it's possible. And follow us on LinkedIn. Like we are there. Lauren Jenkins, Carlos Justino. Go to our LinkedIn's. Send a connection request. We'll be very happy to continue this conversation and help you out in any way possible. So once again, thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your patience with us. And we hope that we shared some value with everyone here present today.